go and search my name. I have a very big group and page on Facebook, which I post every day, dozens of videos of lectures and classes and questions and answers. It's everywhere. It's Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Go and follow me. And even if you just every day listen to a couple of the videos are short, they're easy to understand, they're not long, and that you have to sit in front of the screen for 3 hours. So just for some of you, I think they give around these cards. There's the website on there. Anyone wants to contact me, there's the email there and the phone number. And I try to answer everybody's questions, even online. So, yes, just say the question loud so I can hear it. Go ahead, you're in the back.
Okay. Your life, that experience that you had, it's probably happened to non-Jews as well. What kind of message they receive from people that are not Jewish? What kind of message they have to take on because they get you to do some stuff, but it's not Jew. You know, experience the same thing that you do. What did they do? What kind of message you get from them?
Okay. I'm just going to repeat the question. Yeah, I'm going to repeat the question, the short version of the question. She's asking, what does the message have to do with also non-Jews? Because also many non-Jews go through the same thing. Now, what other people go through, I can't tell you what they go through. Each one, what they go through, that's their own personal thing. The thing is that in regards to serving Hashem, there's no difference between non-Jews and Jews. We're all obligated of serving Hashem. Just that we as Jews got 613 mitzvot, and the non-Jews have 7 mitzvot. But there's no difference between non-Jews and Jews. We all have to serve Hashem. We all have a spiritual life. We all have a soul. There's not much of a difference. So what non-Jews go through, then you're going to have to ask them what they see. But in regards to what I see, so it's for everybody. There's no difference. Also, non-Jews are obligated in believing in God. There's 7 laws of Noah. That there are 7 major laws. Each one of them breaks down to 20 laws. But they're also obligated in serving Hashem. They also have a soul. They also have a world to come. They have everything. It's a little bit different. But the thing is that the message is for everybody. It has nothing to do with Jews or non-Jews. We try to concentrate on the Jews because I can barely handle that. And as for the Jews, then I'll go to the non-Jews. But the bottom line is that all mankind needs to believe in one God. There's only one God. Everybody needs to believe in Him, and everybody needs to serve Him according to how God tells us to serve Him, not how we want to serve Him. So,
I have one more question. Did you see a loved one? Because everybody said, but they just, you know.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any loved ones. I didn't see anyone. The thing is how I felt that I was so low, so shafer, what's called like, I didn't have any merits, that they didn't let me see anyone. For the soul to see loved ones, you have to have merits that the loved ones will come to greet you. The way how I felt it, it's almost like, you know, the team that goes to the Olympics, when they come back, and with all the gold medals, everybody's waiting in the airport to greet them. But if a guy who did the espionage against the country, and after 40 years in jail, he goes out of the jail and comes back to his country, nobody wants to see him. So I was such the opposite of good. Nobody came to see me. Nobody came to greet me. Just all these angels, these negative angels came to greet me. So I didn't see not loved ones, not righteous people, not anyone. Because I knew that I didn't even have the merit of seeing anyone. Mainly because I didn't have any one good mitzvah that they would say, oh, he's worthy for us to come and greet him. Because for the soul to leave the body and nobody's waiting, it's painful for the soul. Like a little kid, what, nobody came to greet me? I'm finally out, now nobody comes to see me. So it's some kind of a punishment to the soul that nobody wants to see him, like a black sheep in the family. Nobody wants to see what he did. So unfortunately, I didn't see anyone. Wait, you. Yeah, go ahead. No, in the back. You. Yeah, the one that's turning around. Yeah. The lucky number.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You mentioned that you saw the 6,000 years, and I want to focus on the Messianic, the Mashiach. What did you see?
There's no words to describe it.
But did you see Mashiach?
I saw the Mashiach era. Not who's the Mashiach, not how it's going to come. I saw how there's two options how the redemption can be. The one option how it can be what's called bechesed v'barachamim, with kindness and mercy, with the merits of the entire world doing positive, and I saw how it can come, like I saw the two sides of the book, how it can come if chas v'shalom the world is not worthy, and it will come not with mercy and nice. How it's going to look, I don't know how to describe it. This is where words cannot describe it. I remember more or less. I remember scenes. Most of the stuff that I also saw forward, I was sworn that I'm not allowed to say. But even if I would try to put it in words, there's no words. One thing that I remember very clearly is seeing this beautiful, beautiful million-color rainbow. Millions of colors. And the rainbow was just signifying something, but the end was just this beautiful thing that words cannot understand, because our mind is so limited that even if I would somehow find the words to explain it, it would not translate even how it's going to be. So unfortunately I don't have the description, and especially not the date. I definitely saw how right now the world is literally at the end. For us maybe looks like a long time, but it looked, how I saw it, like it's any second. And it's like this huge ball tilting on a needle, and all you need is one good deed. That one special good deed from one person to tilt the whole ball to the, what's called kaf zchut, to have the merit, and then the redemption will happen. And unfortunately the world, at this point, the evil is overpowering the good, and the good is like constantly refining. That's kind of how I saw it. Dates, numbers, all that I didn't see. And how I saw it, there's really no words to describe it. All I can tell you how I saw it, that it's very close, and it depends only on us. Only on every person. If every person will internalize that it's dependent on him, and if I'll be good today, and I'll do everything good, maybe I'm the one who will tilt the entire world to kaf zchut, to have the merit for the Messiah to come. So Bezrat Hashem, each one of us have to take into consideration that I'm one out of billions, but I'm one important piece out of billions, and my deeds make a huge difference. So if I'm coming now to do something bad, I need to think twice, wait a minute, maybe I'm the one that will, if I decide not to do this bad, and rather do this good right now, maybe I'm the one that's going to change it. Bezrat Hashem. Wait, one in the back with the white.
Yeah, thank you for the lecture. I just wanted to know what happened with the girl. If you can give us a few examples of what you saw in her past.
Okay, the girl, I don't know, I left her. A few years ago I spoke in some university in New York, and somebody asked me, what's with the girl? So the rabbi answered for me, and he says, Chassids don't stay in touch with their ex-girlfriends. So we broke up after that, and then I never saw her.
But it should have affected her in your story.
I looked for her a couple of years ago, and I did a long search, especially with all the social media, and I couldn't find her, and I was like, okay, must be that I'm not supposed to find her. So I didn't pursue it. Things about her life, there's not really much of a, it doesn't really matter. The most thing that I most remember and felt, it's very personal to her, but you don't know her, so it doesn't really matter, but she was abused when she was a little girl. And I remember the whole thing, seeing it and feeling it, and the person and the praise and everything, and I knew all the details. But I was mostly, it's like I felt this pain that she felt. Not only that I saw where it was, and the person, and I knew the name and everything, it's like I felt the inner feeling that she had. So that's, and many other things. Every little thing in her life where she lived, it doesn't really, it's not so important. Yes?
Didn't your experience have an effect, being faced with such suffering or a different choice, doesn't that have an effect on your free will and your bechira to actually choose? That's part one. And part two is what changed in the yeshiva.
What changed in yeshiva?
Yeah. As you said before, you were picking, not putting out your cigarettes, and you came out religious.
Okay. So the first question is asking if it affected my free will. So the answer is it didn't, because I'm still a soul in a body. And when the soul is in the body, it doesn't matter who the soul is. He has a partner, he has a body to deal with, he has a yetzer hara, he has an evil inclination, he has what's called a nefesh be'emit, animal soul. It doesn't matter who the soul is. Once it's in the body, if the person is not a tzaddik, he still has his free will and his lusts and inclinations and his thoughts. I maybe have a little advantage, but other than that, if you want, I'll trade you my Yetzer Hara, I'll give it to you, whatever you want, I'll give you my Yetzer Hara. I fed him for 28 years. He's a commando Yetzer Hara. So I'll give him away to anyone, whenever they want. So, you know, the Gemara says, the more you climb up in holiness, your other side climbs up with you. Because this wouldn't be fair that you're this high in your level of holiness, and here stands a little Yetzer Hara. So he grows with you. So until I'll reach the level of tzaddik, which can be never, then I still have my Yetzer Hara, I have my free will. You asked about free will. A lot of people don't really understand the concept of free will. Free will is not that when you wake up in the morning if you're going to wear a black shirt or a white shirt. That's not your free will. Free will is when you come to an opportunity in your life that you have the opportunity to do good or to do bad. And you choose. And that's your free will. So you wake up in the morning, you walk in the street, a person is standing and telling you, can you help me, you know, start my car? So you have the free will of saying, sorry, gotta go get my coffee. Or saying, yes, I'll help you. Or the other way around. You see an opportunity to do a sin, and you, should I do it, should I not do it? If you choose to do it, fine. If you choose not to do it, better. So the free will is only the opportunity when you come to a crossroad. Should I do good? Should I do bad? Now the Torah says, "Bachart tov, bachart b'chaim." You chose good, you chose life. You chose bad. So a lot of people think, you know, my brother-in-law became religious too, and he's a comedian. He's a very funny guy, and he couldn't figure out this whole free will. And he came and told me, maybe you can explain to me this whole free will. You want to tell me that God knows everything that I'm about to do? So I told him, yeah. So he stood in front of a mirror. And he's looking at the mirror and he tells me, I'm looking and he tells me, Hashem, do you know that I'm about to do this? Did you know that I'm about to do this? So it's funny, but I told him, your free will, Hashem knows what you're going to do. The free will is not if you're going to, what you're going to wear, where you're going to go, which car you're going to drive, you're going to buy. That's, you know, little steps. The main free will is when you have the opportunity to do a mitzvah, if you will do it or not. If you have the opportunity to do a sin, if you will refrain yourself or not. So I still have a big Yetzer Hara. Like I told you, I'll give it to you whenever you want. And I'm in a body, and the body covers the soul, and there's partners. So I lived in my body for 28 years. Imagine you have a tenant that lives in your basement for 28 years for free. Free food, free utilities, no rent. One day you come and tell him, time to go out. I have a better deal. So he tells you, you can't throw me out. I've been living in your basement for 28 years. So when you become religious, you come to Yetzer Hara and you tell him, Habibi, time to go. He's like, no, wait. I have part ownership here. So, oh Hashem, I'm still working on it. Now when you ask the second question, what happened in yeshiva? In the beginning, I knew I had to become religious. That was just obvious to me. But in my normal mind, I'm 28 years old. And I'm like, okay, I'll give up the easy things. Putting tefillin 5 minutes in the morning, that's easy. Doing kiddush once a week, that's easy. Washing my hands, no big deal. But what, I'm not going to go to movies anymore? I'm not going to go out with girls anymore? I'm not going to do this anymore? I'm not going to do that anymore? It was too much. I was like, no. I was afraid that once I move here to the black suit, that's it. I'm one of them. I was afraid of it. I was afraid I'm going to lose myself. I was looking at this life, and I was like, maybe I can't handle it. It's too much. So it took me 1.5 years to soften my partner. Besides, for 28 years, I built all these klipot, all this negative shell that surrounds the neshama. It took me a long time to break it. Now finally, when you go to yeshiva, you know, and you're all day long being injected with Torah, and praying, and kosher food, and the right environment, no TV, no internet, no this, no that, and you focus, then your Yetzer Hara can't fight you. When you're sitting with another 10 men in a room learning, your Yetzer Hara cannot fight you, you crush him in a month. So I was ready, I just needed that push to this, you know, this place of warmth, that I'm just me and my mitzvot. And it took time. Once I was in the yeshiva, I was like, okay, now I can handle it. So any person that wants to become religious, You can't just wake up in the morning and say, that's it. I'm buying now a black suit, and that's it, I'm throwing my razor away. It came in stages. And mainly because I had this partner in my body telling me, no, you can be religious, but let's go out to a movie on Friday night. Let's go to the beach right now. Put your tefillin on. Let's go out to the beach. So you have to know how to also handle your own Yetzer Hara. But the trick is to anyone who wants to get a little bit closer, if you do it in small dips, it's like going into a boiling hot bath, putting in your food, then walking out. It's not going to work. Sometimes you have to jump in. So you have to prepare yourself the right way, and when it's ready, then you have to dip yourself in the world of Torah, which we know that Torah corresponds to water. Same way you're jumping into the pool, you have to jump into the world of the Torah. And then the Yetzer Hara doesn't have a chance on you, because you're coming with too much power. Hold on. Yeah, you're in the back.
Yeah. I have a question. Since the moment that you're so separated from the body and you were feeling that you are over the body, not in the body, is there any control that you can do anything you want to do, or just you go by?
Okay, I'm just going to repeat the question. He's asking from when I left my body and I saw everything and hovering over the body if I had control. The question was no. I didn't have any control. I was like, I don't know the word in English, in Hebrew you say batil. I was an old. I didn't have any control to move, to pull myself. I was just joining the ride. Almost like you sit on a train, you can't tell the train what to do. It has a track. And it's going, and you're just enjoying the view. So I was just enjoying the view. I didn't have an option of choosing where to go or what to see. Even what I saw, it just was revealed. It wasn't that I was like, oh, she looks like a nice person, let me dive into her. So I was like, pulled through. And the thing is that it was so overwhelming, it was so amazing, that I didn't even have like the will of saying, oh, let me go there, let me go there. But the main thing, I was like completely annulled. I was like autopilot. I didn't have any control. Mainly because the way it works is there's a certain angel that is in charge, and he comes and like with tweezers pulls the soul out of the body. He's holding you, he's controlling you. You don't have, at this point, so much free access to do whatever you want. So, but the thing is that the ride in the beginning was so amazing that I didn't even want to do anything else. I was like going like through Wonderland. Thank you. Wait, the one in the back. Get in the back, waving.
I have a question, but my friend has a question too. Can I ask you a question?
Sure. You do it for the price of one.
My question was, you mentioned that one of the conditions to come back was if they wanted you to come and tell everybody what happened. But were there things that I don't want to know what they were, but were there things that they said, you absolutely cannot go back and talk about these things that you saw or that happened here? Were there things that have to stay only within your own mind?
I'm going to repeat the question. She's asking if from whatever I saw, there was any conditions things that I know that I'm not allowed to say. The answer is yes, because most of the stuff that I saw, it wasn't that they came and tell me, come and sign here a waiver that you're not allowed to say it. It wasn't exactly like that. It was just obvious that this is, you can't talk. This, do whatever you want. Like my wife, for example, I saw my wife when I was introduced, when we went on our first date. First of all, that night that I came, that I was trying to go out, when that person invited me and I moved from one chair to the other, that night I saw my wife. And I saw her from the other side of the room, and I was like, wait a minute, that's her, that's that girl. Half a year later, the rabbi who told me that I'm Meshuggah, that I'm crazy, he told me, I have a real nice girl for you to meet, and he did the shidduch, and when he showed me the girl, I was like, okay, that's it. So when she walked into the car, I saw her, and I was like, whoa. So with her, she knows certain things. Like I saw all my kids, so I know what kids we're gonna have. So every time she's pregnant, I'm like, we're gonna have a girl, we're gonna have a boy, we're gonna have this. So some things I share with her, but a lot of things she was like, tell me, no, don't tell me, tell me, no, don't tell me. So a lot of the things I know, but it wasn't that they swore me not to tell. It was just obvious that you can't tell. Like the lady asked before about the redemption. Some of the things, they kind of like told me, we're giving you a little bit permission, but you can't do whatever you want with it. So anything that was personal to me, then even if I tell you, it doesn't really make a difference how many kids I'm going to have. But the thing is that most of the stuff that has to do personal with my life, then some of the things I share, some I don't share. But a lot of it that was shown, it was just obvious. You're not allowed to tell. This is for above. So unfortunately, wait, your friend, you wanted to ask something.
Like every day we say, why I'm talking, we do teshuvah, and then you think, that's it, it's over, you're good. And then you read something and it says, if you're having this thought or you're doing it, it means that you still didn't do teshuvah for your sins from before. So how do you know if Hashem forgave you or he didn't forgive you?
Okay, so I'll repeat the question. She's asking if a person does tshuva, he did the sin, and then he did tshuva, and then again, either the person does the sin again, or thinks about it, and I'll add to your question. What if a person does a sin?
We don't think about the same sin.
Exactly, and then it comes back. And then it comes back down the line?
No. You don't do it, you don't think about it. But just like in Sefer Hamidot.
Oh, you're asking how do you know that Hashem forgave you?
Yes, and also in Sefer Hamidot.
You don't.
I was reading last week that if you're having these thoughts, it means because you still didn't do teshuvah on your earlier thought. So how do you know if you're advancing or you're not?
Okay. So first of all, when a person does tshuva, technically one cannot know that he really got forgiven. That's why the Torah tells us that all your life you have to be b'tshuva, because one cannot really know, oh, I'm done, I'm clean. Nobody can say, oh, I did such good tshuva, for sure Hashem forgave me. We know from many different sources that if a person does tshuva, depending what his sins are, then Yom Kippur will erase most of the sins. Yom Kippur will not erase sins that are between Adam v'chavero, between one person to the other. And Yom Kippur will not erase severe sins that fall under the category of karet. Now, but we know that if a person was forgiven, then he will go through what's called yisurim, suffering. Because the yisurim, they wash the soul. So if you have now a suit with a stain, and you want to take the stain off, you take it to the dry cleaner, and they steam the stain out. So if the jacket had how to scream, the jacket would scream of pain. So if a person, Chas v'Shalom, did a sin, he blemished his soul. He put this stain on the soul. So if Hashem forgave him, the person will go through some type of yisurim, suffering. So if a person does tshuva and he's going through a lot of yisurim, he can say 99.9 my tshuva was accepted, because if nothing happens, you're in bad place. Some people, you look at them and you're like, look at this guy. All day long he's sinning, and look, tons of money, millionaire, successful, kids, everything he has. And you're like, he's a completely wicked person. He doesn't know anything. Yeah, because you know what? Because at this point, maybe that person is so ignored by the heavenly court that they're letting him, yeah, take your money, take your fame, take everything. When you come up there, you're going to get nothing. So when a person does tshuva, first thing that the reaction is that he's going through some type of suffering. It can be anything. It can come in money, it can come in health, it can come in many different ways. And when a person is going through some type of yisurim, suffering, that's why the sages teach us, you have to accept the suffering with love. Why? Because it's washing you off. Like a little kid comes back from playing in the playground, so his clothes are dirty. So this is easy. You take the clothes, you throw them in the washing machine. But then his hands are full of, let's say, markers. You can't just wash it off. You have to scrub it, maybe put some chemicals on, or some type of remover, and it hurts him. Same thing with us. We did a person does a sin. He made a blemish on his soul. Then he has to go through some type of suffering to clean the soul. So if the person is going through some type of suffering, he can have a good idea that, okay, they accepted my tshuva in Shamayim. But one can never know 100% that his tshuva was accepted, and that's why your entire life you have to do tshuva. Now, if you did a certain sin and this thought about something like this happened to you, yeah, it means that you didn't do 100% tshuva on that thing, and you have to continue. It says that when a person is worthy and he did tshuva, and his tshuva is not 100%, then what's called a bat kol, a heavenly voice will come and whisper to him, you still have to do this, you didn't do it 100%. You didn't clean 100% that room. So then obviously the person has to have the merit to do it. But in general, a person needs to know that he doesn't know if he was 100% forgiven, and to live under the impression that I'm not perfect. I still have a lot more to do, and I don't know, I'm going to do the best that I can to make sure that I do my tshuva right. But a person cannot come and say, look, 2-foot long beard, I can go straight to Gan Eden. It doesn't work like that, because you don't even know how much effort you have to put in to fixing some of the blemishes that you did. When I became religious, I came to the rabbi and I told him, you think I can remember who I stole for when I was 17? Who I insulted when I was 18, when I was 19? I'll go figure out where can I find them. So the thing is that half the things that you do in your life, you don't know how to track it. That's why it suggests that a lot of people say, I'll live my life, then comes Yom Kippur, I'll fast 3 minutes more than the time, and I'll pray with all my heart and everything will be good. Yeah, but you don't even remember 80% of what you did the entire year. So the point is not to do tshuva once a year, rather to do tshuva every day. So we know that Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month, is an auspicious time to do tshuva for the entire month. And Erev Shabbat, Friday afternoon, is an auspicious time to do tshuva for the entire week. And every night before you go to sleep, when you say Kriyat Shema L'Mitah, that's the time you do tshuva for the day. And a lot of people think you say Kriyat Shema L'Mitah, you put your pajamas and you sit with your slippers on your bed and you do Kriyat Shema L'Mitah. No, you have to say it dressed, and you have to say it outside of the room. When it says Al Mitah, it means close to the time when you're going to sleep. But it's not only reading the text, it's doing a recap. What did I do today? Was I a good mother? Was I a good wife? Was I a good employer? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I hurt that person probably. Tomorrow I'm going to go and apologize. Oh, you know what? I forgot to give, they gave me more change in the grocery store. Tomorrow I'll give back. Because you remember what you did that day. 2 weeks will pass. You don't remember nothing. And then how do you do tshuva for that? So the point is that all your life is b'tshuva. You do a recap at the end of the day and you say, what did I do today? What can I fix today that I messed up? But no, we're not perfect at the end of the day. If you do that, you can kind of count on that your tshuva is good. And if you're getting the same thought like how you're asking, must be that from Shamayim, the heavenly voice is telling you, is whispering in your ear, reminding you, you didn't do 100% tshuva in this department. Maybe there's somebody that you insulted and they're still upset with you. Maybe you owe somebody money and you think you don't owe them and they actually believe that you have to give them back the money. There can be so many things that you passed by and another person is holding the grudge against you. The point is to remember that you have to constantly know, not to think that, oh, I'm so perfect and my tshuva is 100%. You constantly have to work on yourself. Does that answer you? Wait.
I love your answers, and I heard them before, and they helped me a lot. And I want to acknowledge that I am a survivor, and I did went through this terrain. But I have this problem that even this year, right after the Chagim, I'm sorry, in my sukkah, I had guests and a good friend, and I was telling her, look at how many things I did from Yom Kippur to today. So it's like, it's haunting me that I'm doing things and I have to do the shuvah. It's like, I don't know how to explain.
No one of us is perfect. You also have to look yourself, also to judge yourself to kapsut. And we can go over it more later.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
How did your parents react?
They freaked out.
At the time and now.
Okay, they freaked out. She's asking how did my parents react. First of all, the first 2 years, nobody knew anything because I was embarrassed. And in Israel, I don't know how it is in America, in Israel, when you become religious, you lost it. So I didn't tell anyone. And my family would come and visit me. I would go to the room quietly and put the tefillin very quiet and put a long sleeve that they're not going to see the marks. And I would go to a restaurant with my mom and she was like, how come you're not ordering shrimps? I have a stomach ache. So I didn't tell anyone for 2 years because I was embarrassed from their reaction. But when I told them all that I became religious, oh, in the beginning they freaked out. But once they figured out that I'm normal, then they were okay with it. In the beginning, my father was the first one who was okay, because I was a big troublemaker. And he says, if this is going to make a mensch out of you, I'll accept it. So how many nights he got a phone call from the police to come and pick me up. So he's like, maybe this will make a mensch out of you. So my father was very happy. My mom, heard all sorts of horror stories that people who become religious, they don't come to their home, and the grandparents are muktzeh, and she's never going to see me, and all these horror stories. I told her, no, everything will be fine. So I took a couple visits. They saw I'm the same person, same sense of humor, long beard, and a little bit more refined. So now it's completely different. Now they're, Baruch Hashem, completely changed. But in the beginning, it was like a shock to everybody. My sister was like, is this forever? Is this permanent? So I was like, yeah, kind of. So Baruch Hashem, they slowly saw that it's not going, didn't go to the negative direction. Why? Rather, it's the same guy, a little bit hairy, but same guy, much more refined.
But you told me the story?
Of course. Of course. You're getting a phone call, I think. Yes.
Question. So, is there any correlation between being in the cab and having your soul all over the world, and then, let's say, perhaps being in the hospital, in the ICU, and being pulled through the tunnel, and having the hand pull you down from your soul, pulling your soul down and through the tunnel, through the funnel?
But what do you mean correlation?
Well, I mean,
time-wise?
yeah, time-wise. I mean, you're
That I don't know.
the cab is taking you to the hospital.
That I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer.
Okay. Thank you, though. I wasn't.
If you're asking how long it took,
No, not so much how long it took, but
that I don't know.
while your soul was up.
Till the point of the building, I know exactly to what street it was. I remember the path of the car. Once I was like grabbed, then I lost track of this world. So I don't know more or less.
I'm wondering, is when you were being grabbed is when you were perhaps in the ICU and they were.
Could be.
Could be. Okay.
I know for a fact that when I jumped out of my body, how I call it, is when the soul left the body. That's probably when the death was. But how you're saying the correlation, I don't know.
Was it painful?
Excuse me?
Was it painful for the soul to leave the
In
body?
the beginning, no. In the later stage, it was very painful. Yes.
First of all, what happened? Did you have a heart attack? What happened?
Yeah, I had cardiac arrest.
A result of what you smoked?
I had blood poisoning, which caused my heart to stop. I had cardiac arrest.
It was a result of what you smoked.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that? You remained in the hospital?
Yeah. The physical thing what happened was cardiac arrest. And my blood was poisoned. I had blood poisoning. Wait, she's asking. She's waiting patiently. Yeah.
I have two questions.
Only two? I didn't listen.
Based on what you saw, do you believe all the Jews have to live religious life? And my second question is, what you said when you came back, at the beginning you didn't remember anything. I was wondering what caused you to remember everything and how long it took you.
Okay. For the first question, is asking if I think all Jews need to live religious. So the answer is yes. Not only Jews, the entire world have to follow the commandments of God. But if we're concentrating on the Jews, yeah, there's no discounts. Nobody can say, oh, I'm from LA, I don't need to. All Jews need to be religious. How religious you are, that's your choice. How particular you are, how what's called machmir you are, how much mitzvot you take on yourself, that's your choice. That's the investment when I say how close you're going to sit to the king. But if you have to keep Shabbat or not, all the Jews have to keep Shabbat. If you want to accept Shabbat 10 minutes before, and have 50 guests at your Shabbos table, and do many other things that you can do in Shabbat, that's already your bonus. If you can eat kosher or not, you have to eat kosher. It doesn't matter where you live and what you do. How particular you are with kosher, if you're checking the leaves with a microscope, that's already in your hands. But the thing is that, yes, all Jews have to be religious. I'm sorry I'm not giving you a discount tonight. As regards to why it took me 2 weeks to remember, I don't know. Why I don't remember, I have no idea.
Your vessel was empty.
Excuse me?
Your vessel was empty
Could
of
be.
mitzvah.
Could be.
What caused it?
What caused it?
Yeah, before yeshiva, you remember after?
Oh, yeshiva came 2 years later. 2 weeks from after what happened, could be 13 days, I don't remember on the day. But it took about 2 weeks to remember. Why it took 2 weeks? I have no idea. In just one night. The whole 2 weeks I was physically also sick. I was very weak, I was physically very, very weak, and I couldn't sleep. I would sleep, wake up, I barely was able to fall asleep. One night, I don't know why, then I just woke up. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer why. The third question. You want to think about it? Okay, photographer.
How do you suppose our thoughts become observed and recorded?
How what?
How do you suppose our thoughts become observed and recorded? Our thoughts, not just our behavior, that's visible.
How is it recorded?
Yeah, you said that our thoughts, our decisions, our choices.
Well, exactly how you're holding our camera. Exactly how you're holding our camera with a very sophisticated chip that records in HD everything that's going on. This is like a dinosaur to the cameras that are up there. So the cameras that are up there, we know Hashem bochen klayot v'lev. Hashem doesn't need a physical camera. He sees all through you, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. So the sophisticated cameras in Shamayim, what we have here, the technology we have here is like, prehistoric technology. So everything that we do, our thoughts, our feelings, emotions, everything is recorded. How it's done, the mind cannot even start grasping, let's call it, the technology of the spiritual realm. Because if you would have to somehow compare it, the technology, I'm calling it technology, that the spiritual realm has, it's like 1,000,000 light years away from what we have here. We get excited and we move our hand on a phone, and wow, look at the invention of the century. So what we have here now, you asked before about the redemption. I saw how the technology will be then, and how what we have now looks like a prehistoric technology. What we see in the futuristic movies, 10 years ago, if somebody would tell you that you would be able to sit in front of a camera and somebody on the other side of the world will see you, it would be like, what? Can't be. I remember I used to love Seinfeld, for the ones of you who know Seinfeld. There's an episode that he's talking about the internet. And he's like, what? That doesn't make sense. So, our technology right now, I text my mom. She's in Israel, I'm here. I write letters on my phone. Instantly, the letters show up on the other side of the world. And we think, wow, we're so advanced. That the most lame angel looks down to this world and laughs at us. We look to us, excuse my expression, how I look down, it looked like everybody here are retarded. It looked like we're like walking in the dark. So excuse my expression. But when I looked down, this world looked like a prehistoric, weird thing. So how it's recorded, that I can't give you the secrets. When I actually saw how everything was built, and I told you that I'm like, was this genius, I kind of understood it, how everything works in this world. So if in this world we have 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, it looked like there like 5,000 dimensions. And everything looked like, endless. So unfortunately, I don't have the sequence, how the cameras work there, but they're very sophisticated. And they know your thoughts and your emotions. Hashem sometimes know, you asked before, you can drive now on the highway, and you see a person trying to stop cars because he has a flat tire, and in your mind, you're like, oh, I wish I could stop and help him. But you're 60 miles an hour on the left lane. For 1 second, you feel a little bit bad. Oh, this poor guy. Oh, the next exit is 7 miles down. Just for 1 second that you felt bad, that you can't help him, that is recorded in Shamayim. And Hashem says, wow, look at this merciful guy.
Oh, that he felt bad.
Yeah, that you felt bad.
But what about that he didn't get off at the exit and come back and turn around and help him?
That's already, if you do that, you win the jackpot. But sometimes a person comes in the street, asks for a little bit of charity, you put your hand in the pocket. And the pocket is empty, you're like, sorry, I don't have anything. The fact that you put your hand and you feel bad for 2 seconds that you didn't have the money, that is recorded. So it's not only the big things. People think you have to do big things. Sometimes it's these little things, like I said with the story with the wine and the kiddush, The fact that I dare to put myself in a car, drive 60 miles to buy a bottle, okay, I didn't buy a bottle, I bought a case. But the point was that I took way out of what I was beyond what I should have done. Like you're saying with the highway. If you stop, you go around, wow, you're in Shamayim, there's a party there.
But intention is not enough.
No. But we know, we learned that Machshava Tova Kadosh Baruch Hu Tzarva L'Maaseh. When you have the intention, you did already 60% of the act. You already brought down it to act, that's even greater. Obviously, you can't just sit all day long and be like, I want to give $1 million to this yeshiva, and I'm going to give $1 million to that yeshiva. And if you have a lot of intentions, it's great, but if you don't have the $1 million actually dollars, then the intention is just a fantasy. So, Baruch Hashem, the technology out there is very sophisticated. I would suggest to anyone to monitor their thoughts, their tongue, everything, their feelings. What most important is to be true to yourself. You're true to yourself in Shamayim, they're very happy. Wait, we'll do one time to the left, one time to the right with my neck. Yeah.
Do you know what your punishment was for not keeping Shabbat?
What was mine?
Do you know what your punishments were for not keeping Shabbat?
There wasn't a punishment. They didn't come, there wasn't like a warden that came and said, this, you get that. They didn't come to me like that. The thing is that the word punishment is a little bit extreme, and a lot of people say a punishment. It's not a punishment. When you do an Avirah, there's a reaction. So if I'm now going to take a rock, and I'm going to throw it at this beautiful door, and the entire door smashes, I'm not going to get a punishment. I can't come to the door and tell the door, why did you break? I did an act, and there was a reaction. So if I did a sin, Hashem's not standing there with a baseball bat to smash you. You did a sin, you made some type of a reaction. So some people call it a punishment. Yeah, you can say a punishment because the reaction will not be nice. If I'm going to now go and smash my head at the wall, I'll get a headache. I cannot come to the wall and say, hey, why are you giving me a headache? So the wall didn't punish me. I did an action, and my action brought me a reaction.
The question will be, what then was the reaction or consequence, if you know?
The thing is that, unfortunately, I had so many sins. When I went into this tunnel, you can look at the little flyer it has here on the back side. The whole tunnel was built with these angels. Because every time a person does a sin, he creates an angel. If the sin is small, the angel is small. If the sin is big, the angel is big. If the same sin over and over and over, he has friends. Some sins, one act, you create 100 of them. Some sins, you can create 1,000 and 100,000 of them. Now, if you came to a point that you did a sin, but the entire month you were fighting and you were holding yourself and you were literally fighting your Yetzer Hara, your inclination, not to fail, and then he was too strong and you failed, the angel that was created is like a crippled, blind, one-hand angel. So the power of the angel is how much, if you ran to the sin and you gladly did it, then the angel is a big one. So the thing is, when the soul leaves the body, you asked if I saw relatives. I didn't see any relatives because I wasn't worthy. The only thing that I saw is all the sins that I did. So the tunnel that I went through was all the sins, millions and millions of angels they were my sins. Now the thing is that I don't know how to describe how they look because it wasn't with a vision. What they did, I only found one way to kind of describe. If Chas v'Shalom I would have to be punished. The thing is that also a lot of people, they distort the reality is that when I Chas v'Shalom do a sin, I have a pure soul. Like we read in the Siddur. My soul is totally pure. It cannot sin. But the soul gets dressed in what's called Ruach. And the soul and the Ruach, the Neshama and the Ruach, get dressed in the Nefesh. And the Nefesh gets dressed into the body. And when I sin, it's the Nefesh that gets all the problems. Once the soul goes up to Shamayim, it's fine. It doesn't have to, a lot of people say, I have to fix my soul. The soul is good, it doesn't have to fix itself. The problem goes on the Nefesh. Some sins, the blemish will go on the Ruach. Now the thing is, when a person did a lot of sins, then yeah, there's a lot of stains, the soul has to go. Okay, I'll scream. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. I only ran out of battery. I'll go to loud mode. When the soul reaches Shamayim and it went through its trial, sometimes a person can come up to Shamayim and they'll tell him, oh, you have such and such good, such and such bad. They do a trial. Sometimes your good can overpower a lot of the bad, and they'll tell you, okay, fine, you're off. Sometimes the bad will overpower the good, and they'll tell you, you're not fine. So each individual gets a total different dose. Some people, I would do things deliberately. I knew on Yom Kippur, Shem should have mercy on me, I knew on Yom Kippur we're not allowed to eat. I would barbecue on Yom Kippur to annoy my neighbors. So, you know, if a person has a big Yetzer Hara and he's fighting the whole Yom Kippur, that's one thing. But when you're doing it to annoy, you know, the dose of the reaction is different. The point is to know that we're not perfect. Everybody has problems and they have an inclination and certain avot lust for certain things and weaknesses. The point to know is, thank you, is not to give it too much power. Is to say, okay, there's no such a thing as a tzaddik that will not do any sins. But at least, let me try and fight as much as I can my Yetzer Hara. Let me minimize it as much as I can. If I failed and I did a sin, then yosh, get up and do another 50 mitzvot. The problem, the whole thing is that you have to kind of know how to balance it all. Unfortunately, I don't have the menu of what's the actual punishment for each little thing, but how I saw it in Shamayim, Shabbat was one of the worst things one can do when you asked about if everybody has to be religious. Shabbat was one of the most strongest thing in the basics of serving Hashem. Everything is around the Shabbat. When a person desecrates the Shabbat, that was a real big thing in Shamayim. And on the other hand, if a person keeps Shabbat, and the more you beautify the keeping of the Shabbat, you hadel, then it's more greater in Shamayim. And the thing to know is that each person is completely different. Every person is judged completely different, and the reaction, punishment is different. Each one is separate, completely different. Yes.
When you came to your consciousness, did you feel like you were a changed man?
Yeah.
Different man? So what took two weeks for that change to actually come into effect?
No. First, he's asking if I felt that I'm different when I woke up. I right away feel different. The thing is that I didn't know why I feel different. So right away I was suddenly a nice guy, more relaxed, more calm. I didn't know why. I knew something weird happened. I couldn't remember the details. 2 weeks later when I remembered, I was like, oh, now I understand. But in this time, in these 2 weeks, I knew something weird happened which I couldn't understand. And I couldn't explain it. But the change I felt right away that I'm like as if it's a completely different person. The main thing that I felt that I was a very aggressive guy. Suddenly I was like this calm guy, driving slow, only 40 miles an hour. A week before I was going 120. So the change happened right away. Why? And why it took 2 weeks? That I don't know. Wait, the neck. Hold on. I'll do you after. Yes.
Me? I saw something that you saw, and when you saw the building, what I see is the most important things in this world, besides religion and everything that you said, is our connection together. Because we connected our brain together with our logic, but in the heart. And when you went to the building, you were able to connect with your heart, with the other people. Did you get any message about that?
It's not that I got a message, but first of all, you're right. The thing is that the main thing beyond anything is how we treat each other as humans. This was, when they showed me, this kind of answering also your question, when they showed me the ultimate, the most important thing is how we are with each other. I can be the biggest tzaddik, all day long have mitzvot. If I'm not nice to my neighbor, that's not worth anything. And that's kind of what was magnified in my case. Like as if they were kind of telling me, yo, mitzvot, fine. You can be a nice neighbor, you can be a nice son, you can be a nice employer. So you're right. The ultimate is how we connect with each other. A message about that, and I didn't really get a message. At that point, I was totally annulled to the show. Like I answered it before, I was on the ride, just seeing everything. But I was able, that kind of was an eye-opener for me, because since I was able to see each person and feel their emotions, before that I was cold to every person. So somebody will bump into me, I would get upset at him and yell at him. And you know what? There's a video going around on YouTube and Facebook, the guy with the glasses. You saw it? Anybody saw it? Wow. Okay. I'll share it. But you see this guy that he finds his special glasses, and everywhere that he looks, it's written above the person what's going on with him. And in the beginning, you know, somebody takes his parking spot and he yells at her. Then he's standing in line to get coffee and the guy's slow, he's yelling at him. But then he puts the glasses and it says, you know, the guy that was slow with the coffee, I just lost my mother today. And suddenly it was like he's seeing him in a completely different way. And then the woman who took his parking spot, you know, something happened. He was able to, they showed it in such a nice visual way that you look at somebody, you judge them according to your ego, and you get upset at them. But if you were able to see, not you in particular, but when you're able to see, if you can tap into their emotions, you will have such compassion to them that 99% of the time you won't get upset at anyone, because you were able to see, wait a minute, it's a human being. He's going through a hard time. Maybe he lost his job. Maybe he's lost his parent right now. Maybe he just found out that he's sick. So that you're right. The ultimate is how you treat each other. That's why we just read the previous parashot in the Torah, that at the time of the flood, why did Hashem destroy the world? Because they were mean to each other. Now, one generation later, when they built the tower, why didn't Hashem destroy them? Because they had unity. Okay, He spread them around the world, but He didn't destroy them. Why? Because they were united. So Hashem says, I'll ignore right now my mitzvot, just have Ahavat Israel, just be good to each other. I'll give you 10 times more points for being a mensch, being nice to your fellow person. You don't need to impress me with your mitzvot. The mitzvot, I do it for myself. But Hashem, what He wants to see is how good we are with each other. So there's no doubt that's how I behave with other people. That's the highest level one can reach, because we all have our ego, and when somebody does something to me, I get upset. Why? Because it's my ego. But if I lower myself and I humble myself, I'm able to see that there's another human being that I'm interacting with. Wait a minute, maybe I can have more compassion to this person. Maybe I can actually help him. So you're 100% right. I was able to see, that was for me the biggest eye-opener, because I was able to see in each room, wow, it's human beings with emotions. And he's sad right now, and she's upset right now. And when you feel somebody else's pain, you automatically, it lowers your ego, because you're like, oh, maybe I can help that person. So for sure the part with the building was for me, wow, there's more human beings in the world. I thought everybody were just puppets and I'm the only one, because my ego was from here to Hawaii. So, but you're 100% right.
Yeah, and it causes you to your psychic power be stronger, or it's the same?
Yeah.
Can you feel more and see more and hear more?
For sure.
Yeah. Chicago for like a year and a half. You had like Hashem holding your hand and saying, it's real, this is what you to do. Like, would you say that there was this big experience, but then it continued, that you continue to have a relationship with Hashem that's kind of unique, and that you are getting, do you continue to kind of have a communication till today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Short answer, yeah.
Okay.
You heard the question?
No.
Oh, she come up here. She was just asking in regards to what she was asking, since I was saying that in the first year in Chicago, I felt like Hashem was holding my hand, and every day was a miracle, and another miracle, and another miracle, and I had this special connection and relationship with Hashem. She was asking if I still have it. So the answer is yes. Baruch Hashem, I have a little bit of an extra, that I have this special connection with Hashem, and like you said, more receptive to many different things.
But you don't?
I don't share the spooky stuff. Okay. Another lecture. No. But yeah, the answer is yeah. In many different ways.
I asked because, I don't know.
Really? Particular you are with mitzvot? not to talk about sins, and praying and learning, the more you refine yourself, you can any person can refine himself to a point that he will start feeling things. Because the thing is, if when the neshama went down the world, try to imagine like you take like a pile of cups and you put one cup in the other and another cup, and you have like this whole, like a pole of cups. That's kind of how when the neshama goes diving down to the world, it gets dressed into so many levushim, these garments. So by the time it comes down to this world, it doesn't see anything, doesn't feel anything. You do mitzvah, I don't feel nothing. I light candles. You know, you do almost anything you do, you don't feel anything. Because the neshama is covered with so much of these klipot, this spiritual cover. A klipa is a shell. Same way that you have a shell covering an orange, and you peel the shell. You're not going to eat the shell. The shell is sour. The peel. I may be using the wrong word, but this is exactly what happens in the spiritual level. There's some type of a cover around your soul, and it's preventing the soul from feeling or having any spiritual enlightenment. Now, if you know how to refine yourself by removing these shells, these peels, at some point you will feel. That's why when a person does tshuva, you know, when the person lives his life, wanders around the world, then he bumps into another religious person. And that religious person tells him, you want to come to a shiur Torah, to a Torah class? You want to come to a Shabbat meal? You want to put tefillin on? You want to light candles? All it takes is to do one little mitzvah. And when that person does one little mitzvah, what happens? The light of the neshama gets boosted with some energy. So suddenly the soul gets like a boost. And then the next day comes, and the person will, let's say, as a thief, has a tendency to steal, he will come to steal, and suddenly he will be like, hey, you know, his good angel, his nefesh elokit will tell him, no, it's not the right thing to do. Suddenly he will start having this battle in his mind, because you only need is one little ignite to ignite the soul with one good deed. And that's how usually people start coming a little bit closer and a little bit closer. So it only takes one thing. Sometimes this ignition, this spark comes from above. Hashem decides that he's going to wake you up, and he lights this spark from above. The Zohar calls it Ikaruta Dil'ela, an awake from above. And then the person suddenly gets this awakening, and he feels that he wants to get closer to Hashem. Now what happens is that during the course of a normal person's life, he did so many sins, the body is covering the neshama doesn't feel anything. So they have a very big evil inclination and a lot of desires and lusts. More than that, every mitzvah they do, they don't feel anything. They don't feel right away a reaction. But if you reverse it, if you start peeling all these klipot and start removing them, slowly, the neshama will start becoming more refined, and then you'll pray, you'll suddenly feel this something in your body. You'll do a certain mitzvah, you'll feel right away a reaction. You'll feel the connection. Or how you said you feel like a personal connection with Hashem. It all depends on your refinement. So kind of connecting to your question, if you're keeping the basics in being religious, let's call it, you're not going to reach that level. So you're constantly going to have this separation. Because you're like, I'll do the minimum. But if you want to elevate yourself and climb, it's work. It's a lot of work. That's why this world is called Olam Asiyah. It's working here. It can take you a year. It can take you 10 years. It all depends how persistent you are, how much you put your mind to it. But if you really refine yourself, you will get to the point that you can be on that level. And the more you do, the closer you get. And I can tell you already that one of the main things that people, they overlook it, the main thing to start with is your kosher diet. And a lot of people are not particular. They think they're following kosher, but they're not. They're missing here something and here something and here something. Even for little things with mixing, you know, the fleshik knife with a fleshik with a milchik knife. Even with mixing this, something so small that one would say, you know, sometimes my wife, the cleaning lady, she puts the meat spoon into the other place, you know, and my wife sometimes like, I told her this, you know, it only takes one little second for it to swallow the meat taste or the dairy taste, and it makes it treif, and you eat with it. That's it. And people don't go with the little things because it's fanatic. It's too much. But the thing is that the basic of everything is first with the kosher, and then obviously how much. And ברוך השם, מחר יש אחד בעברית. It depends on every little aspect, how you do your Shabbat, how much you're particular with Shabbat. But if you really want to reach that level, yeah, you refine yourself. So some people, they have a head start, and some people have to work harder. But every person that will put his mind to it and will follow exactly the book will reach it.